Hi, this is Arun from Random Codes. In this video, let's take a look at some important keywords that we need to understand about YouTube Data API. YouTube Data API response is in the form of JSON. And here is an example JSON object to understand how the API response looks like. JSON is built with certain objects which can be simple or nested, and we call those objects as properties. In the similar fashion, the response of YouTube Data API is in the form of JSON consisting of several objects. Now, let's look at the keywords resource and partial resource. Resource is an individual data entity with a unique identifier which can be a channel, channel banner, video, playlist, playlist items, and so on. There are separate requests available for each resource on this particular API, like the ones mentioned here. The first one is to retrieve the data for channels, second one is to retrieve the data for playlists, and the third one is to retrieve the data for playlist items. So in the similar fashion, for each resource, so it can be a channel, video, playlist, or any other resource, so we have a separate request which we have to use to retrieve the respective details. The next one is the partial resource. This determines the resource properties to be included in the response. So API supports two different parameters to retrieve the partial data of any kind of resource. So the first parameter is part, which identifies a group of properties to be included in the response. Some valid values are snippet, content details, and statistics. If you look at the JSON example that's mentioned here, so we have address and projects, which are like nested objects which contains properties within them. So these in the similar fashion on the API response, there are certain objects that are being treated as part of a resource, meaning the partial resource. So there are some set of partial resources that are being mentioned on the API documentation, which will go through them as we go on in the further videos. But for now, some of the valid values for part are snippet, content details, and statistics. Next, coming to the fields. So the next parameter is fields. So fields identifies properties further inside the resource properties. For example, so here the address and properties are considered to be the part, and the properties within these objects like city, which is inside the address, will be treated as one of the field. In the similar fashion, ID inside the projects will be treated as one of the field of project. These are the two different parameters that we can use to retrieve the partial data of a resource. So instead of getting all the data that is being exposed by the YouTube, so if you want to specifically extract the details through this API, so we have to use these two parameters along with our request, so that we can extract the partial data of a particular resource. So if we look at the picture that's mentioned here, so we can clearly understand what a resource is and what a partial resource is. So resource is like an object which can consist of multiple partial resources. So here is the documentation URL which consists of so many other details apart from what we have just mentioned. To understand the differences between a resource and a partial resource. Here is the getting started section on YouTube Data API documentation, where we have some kind of details about the API overview. And if we scroll down, we have the list of resources that are available, like activity, channel, channel banner, playlist items, and so on. And if we scroll down, here are some supported operations. And if we scroll further, so this is the section which explains about partial resources. So how are we going to use these two parameters, the part and fields? Here is some kind of useful information about how to use part parameter and what are the valid values like snippet content details, as I already mentioned. And come if you scroll further, so there is a section on how to use fields parameter. So here are some examples as well, so which we can refer for more understanding. That's all for now. I hope this video is useful. Let us know your feedback and suggestions in the comment section. If you like the content, feel free to like, share and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you on another video with a different topic. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.